Thank you. I'd just like to thank Mr. Eren for that enlightening overview. Excuse my voice, it seems to be disappearing, but I'll try and speak in such a way that it lasts an hour at least. The upshot of that presentation from Mr. Eren was there was lots to digest, but the things that are going to be relevant for this next session was $1 billion market growing at 5% with drama, local drama at the forefront. Now, local drama isn't just working in Turkey. The last 5 or 6 years have been all about Turkish drama working in the Balkans, in Arab-speaking countries, in Central Asia. They've taken market out of Latin America, and they're moving now into US network prime time. So I'd like to welcome the panelists for the next session to the stage, please, and we can talk through that growth, if you would. Selin, Halit, yeah, you next to Selin. Thank you. Hello, could you sit next to Halit, please? Hang on, here Thank you. All present and correct. I'll just introduce the panel to you. Some of them you will know already. But on my left is Selin Arat, the Director of International Operations at TIMS Productions, the company behind Magnificent Century and Game of Silence. On her left is Halit Ergenç, actor and star of Magnificent Century, 1001 Nights, and many other shows, which we'll get into that in due course. On his left is Tuba, BÜYÜKÜSTÜN. Is that any good? Tuba, BÜYÜKÜSTÜN, actress and star of hits including 20 Minutes and a show that translates as Black Money Love. Next in line, KEREM, DEREN, writer and founding partner of a writer's room with credits including 20 Minutes and Ezel and Uçurum and others, many others. My voice is lasting. I'll be speaking quietly. Hopefully the panel will take over. Next in line is HILAL, SARAL, director at Yapim, production company with credits including hits like Forbidden Love, North South, Kurt, Sight and Shura, and many others. And last in line is Arzu Öztürkmen, who's going to be translating for HILAL. So that's the panel, a very distinguished panel. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. Yes, let's have a little clap here. I'm going to start with my immediate left. I've got some questions for you, Selin, if that's all right. I'd just like to remind that there's going to be some time for Q&A at the end. If you have some questions, think about them now and save them for the end. But Selin, I'd like you to tell us about the impact that Magnificent Century made on the international drama, international demand for Turkish drama. It was a breakthrough show. Tell us how it all came about and what were the consequences.
Well, when we first designed the show, we always had the international audience in mind. So I think that really, we saw the results of that with it traveling to locations that Turkish series hadn't traveled to before. So I think that put us not just as TIMS Productions, but as Turkey on the map. And as we all know, now Turkey is the second largest exporter of TV dramas after the US, which is a big deal. And I think Magnificent Century, along with all the other shows that came right around it and before it, have contributed to that. So so I think we can now consider Turkey a major player on the TV, international TV sector.
Yes, I agree. I think one of the areas that is next in line for being sort of falling in love with Turkish drama, it seems to be US network prime time. Tell us about the deal that you did with NBC to remake Sunsklar for NBC as Game of Silence.
Well, right after Game of Silence went out of air, maybe a couple of months later, we were approached by one of the front runners, the showcase runners of the US, Carol Mandelson, who's done CSI. We were informed that she was interested in the show, and it took about a year before we could actually sign the deal and they could start adapting it. It's very interesting. It's very exciting that they heard about the show, they were interested in it, and they thought that an American audience would be interested to watch it. And the first step after we signed the deal was for them to go through the upfronts that they have in New York every year in May, and that was like waiting for the results of an exam almost. And when we were told that we actually passed the upfronts, that meant that now the pilot can go on air and that the show will be picked up for at least 10 episodes, which is very exciting.
I think it was even more of an achievement when you consider that this season in the upfronts there was very few scripted formats that made it through the upfront, and it was very much an upfront about vertical integration, using shows that the networks already owned rather than importing ones. So the fact that they chose your show in that climate makes it even more of an achievement, I think.
Thanks.
I'd like to also just talk to you about the next shows that you're making, because I know you have a show in production right now, but talk about the future for Tim's.
Well, right now we're in production with Magnificent Century KEREM. We have branded the name Magnificent Century because it now almost it parallels Ottoman period drama. So we're continuing with that. We're again telling the story of a very interesting woman 100 years after where we left off with the original Magnificent Century. We will hopefully be on air in November, and tomorrow we have the launch party here, so people will be introduced to Magnificent Century KEREM for the first time internationally.
I think that's why I lost my voice at the Turkish party last night. Too much Efes, maybe. But my last question for the moment, Celine, is the future for the independent producers in Turkey, because usually around the world, if a company has a hot show, they tend to get either bought by a big company like, I don't know, Fremantle, Endemol, or one of the big studios like NBC or something like this. That hasn't happened despite the fact that there's been loads and loads of drama hits. Maybe you could explain that. What's the future for the indie sector, the independent production sector in Turkey? Not just your company, but are they going to be expanding around the world and setting up production in the Balkans or offices in other parts of the world to produce for local networks?
Well, we actually, to talk in terms of Tim's, we were approached by companies like Fremantle and some other companies, but it's, at the end of the day, we don't look at this just as a business. It's a passion, especially for my boss. So you can't just, sell your baby to somebody who approaches you at the first step. So I think that's a process that's going to take a while for even other companies to get into. But speaking in terms of Tim's, we did open up an office in LA recently, about a few months ago, because we want to be able to do co-productions in the US and do some and create content for the U.S. market, English-speaking market as well. So I hope, I've heard of other companies doing that as well in Turkey. So
I've got some questions for you, Halit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you started your career in opera, musicals, and ballet even, I think.
Not ballet, but modern dance.
Yeah.
Yes, I was dancing on the stage and doing musicals in Istanbul State Opera and Ballet Company. So I started with that.
How did you get into doing this?
With roles in, in a series for one episode or a couple of episodes. It started that way when I was in conservatory, when I was studying musical acting. So and then, I was acting on the stage at the same time in the dramas and some farces, French farces. So it built up naturally. It happened that way. That was nice.
What elements of your previous incarnation as a sort of a dancer and informed your preparation for playing Suleiman the Magnificent?
If we come to the Suleiman Magnificent, of course, with this kind of getting older, you have everything what you have done before with you. I cannot analyze what causes what, but all happened naturally in my life. So this project came, I think, because I love my job, and very strict about it, and I'm very oriented when I'm working, and I love it. I mean, that's the point. But if we come to Magnificent Century, that's a complete different story, because it came to me a year and a half before it started. We talked about it with TIMUR, which is the producer, and Meral, who has passed away, the writer, the creator of Magnificent Century. So I started to read books about Süleyman, and I started to understand how was it in those times. And then I think my adventure started with it just a month before we start shooting, after the readings, all the rehearsals and everything. And the point was his loneliness. His loneliness was the key for me. Being there, having all those people, and being that much powerful, and being alone. Hunting for love, and thirsty for a woman, and standing a person standing next to him as a brother, and who he can trust. So that was the point, loneliness. And that's, I think, the most interesting adventure as an actor that I've ever done.
I mean, you've played some significant characters. I think you played Ataturk at one point in a different show.
I did.
These are
yes,
quite
that was
big
a film.
characters to have responsibility for. How do you get into their mindset? Are you like a method guy, or?
No, I'm not a method guy. I don't believe those things, because I'm not educated as an actor in the conservatory. I just studied music there. Of course, we've had some acting lessons, but I think I have my own method, and it all comes from senses. All those people, I mean, especially the biggest characters, the bravest characters in the history, all were humans. So that's the point. That's the starting point. And every character has a key for me. So I start to open the doors with that key, and I find different keys. Some of the rooms are closed, some of them are dark. But I mean, it's a great adventure, I have to say. It all starts with just with a feeling. Sometimes it's a look in the picture. Sometimes it is something that he has done in the future. I mean, you never know it.
Well, where's the adventure taking you next? What are you working on now?
Right now, I'm not working on anything, but we are trying to produce something, some things, reading some scripts for the next season. I don't know if we can do something or not, because the first thing, if I do something, is the character that I want to play. I have to find that one, and I have to see the story and the character. The character opens the door. I mean, this is all, you know, emotional things for me. Acting is a business for me, but it's mostly an emotional voyage. So we're searching right now.
Yeah. I imagine with the profile that this Magnificent Century has given you internationally, maybe there's casting agents from Hollywood giving you a call, casting agents from London.
It happens, yes. I do some auditions, and I've done a film in Azerbaijan with the director Asif Kapadia, okay. Ali and Nino. We just finished that, and they are in post-production right now. That was a nice experience for me, because I worked with I'm a little excited right now. So international group, you know. So that was also fun to play in English with a director. I knew him because of Senna, the documentary. So I did like him before. So that was a very nice experience for me to work with him.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing those insights. I'm gonna bring in Tuba while we're on the subject of performance. Tuba, you've played similarly, like Halit, you played a key role in the expansion of Turkish drama around the world, picking up Emmy nominations, I believe, Monte Carlo TV Festival nominations. What's your idea of the role, the key ingredient to a Turkish drama that makes it travel, makes it gain global recognition?
First of all, I believe that the global success comes by domestic success. The story is the most important thing for a project, I think. And then the characters, of course. And I don't know, they both... Asi was nominated as Best Soap Opera in Monte Carlo TV Festival in, I think, 2011. And the same category with Young and Restless. And it was really big thing for us in that time. Because I knew that series from my childhood. By the way, my mom was a fan of that. And the nomination of international Emmys was the first nomination of the Turkish TV sector. And now we have one more this year. And this is really important, and I think. We are, in a very short time, the growth is really big, I believe. And as Halit said, the character is very important to an actor. And when you read, if you can feel that character, if you curious about the character, if you're curious about the character, and you find the if you want to find the character, you just get in.
Okay. Are you finding that the kinds of roles that you're being offered has changed with because the boom has created a demand for, the Turkish drama boom has created demand for more sophisticated storylines, complex characters. So previously, for instance, in America, women were offered roles that were very black and white. You know, the wife or the daughter or the girlfriend, and the guys enjoyed all these morally ambiguous, complex characters that women didn't. But as the drama boom in the States grew, it gave women these very complex characters, like in Homeland or other shows like Nurse Jackie or something. Is the same thing happening in Turkey? The roles that women are being offered becoming complex and sophisticated and challenging?
Actually, in Turkey, I think women characters are always very challenging. That in Turkish culture, women are very important and very dominant. And that's why maybe in all our stories, we have really strong women characters. They're always challenging and complex and deep, and they're always trying to fight for their land, whatever their land is. It can be a really land or a family or children or etc. And but sometimes it was very special. My character in 20 minutes that Kerem and Pınar wrote. It was really unique role for me because she was a murderer, but all the story we shown her like she's not, and I played the scenes that make her like more guilty. I played like she's not guilty, and the scenes like she's not guilty, I played like she's guilty, and that was the key, I think, and the audience were like confused. But this is very unique. We have not much, I think, that kind of characters.
The same question that I pitched at Halit. Are you, as the profile that these shows, 20 Minutes, for instance, internationally, has that led to demand for you in places like Hollywood or London, other markets? No, I mean I was aiming that at Tuba. It's the same question I asked you.
Sorry.
The profile that 20 Minutes has given you internationally, has that led for opportunities to work in other countries or other Hollywood, for instance?
Actually, as Halit told, I had auditions from US, and I don't know if it's because of 20 Minutes or not, but I also find an opportunity to work with Hinar Salim. It's very important director. I really respect him, and this is nice things for us. I think for the sector and TV sector, and also the cinema sector in Turkey. I think.
Okay, excellent. It's interesting for both of you for suddenly getting this international profile and having to deal with it, because you must have fans emailing you from Pakistan all the way down to Chile and things like that. Does that take up most of your time now? Answering fan mail from these far-flung corners?
It doesn't take much time from our
no?
living. Yeah, I mean, it's like, on my side, I mean, we are embracing their love. That's, I think, a unique opportunity in life to have that kind of love. Whenever we go somewhere with my wife, she's also famous worldwide because of these things, and also from 1001 Night. So wherever we go, we see people's loving faces. That's really beautiful thing, and I feel I'm blessed about it.
Excellent.
But it doesn't take much time in our daily life. So, and we don't program to do something with it. We just live it as we lived before this fame, you know. So
Great.
it's a great love that coming from all people.
Excellent. So that clip is a nice segue from Tuba to KEREM, because I think, KEREM, you wrote that story, didn't you?
We kind of did, with my wife, who's actually sitting there somewhere. Pınar Bulut, yeah, we did.
So that was a breakthrough. I think Ezel was an earlier breakthrough that you wrote as well. I want to start with Ezel, if I may, and we can bring in 20 minutes. The development process of Ezel was, I understand, quite a long one. It was a breakthrough drama, but it took quite a while to develop.
It did, yes. I mean, I'm not sure if it took too long, but in Turkish standards, development process would. How long would that take? Like maybe a standard development process would take about 2 to 3 months, maybe. So that's actually really short. But Ezel, we developed it with the producers for about, I think, 2 years. Part of that was accidental, but it worked to our advantage, obviously, because I mean, I wouldn't say it took too long. It actually took the exact amount of time that we needed, which in Turkey is really a luxury. It's a privilege.
So the more time spent on development, predictably, it makes it a better product at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a direct proportion to, but that's something that you have to do, because a series, especially if it's in Turkey, I mean, one episode is about 120, 130 minutes right now, and
160.
I didn't go that far, but yeah, but multiply that by 70, 80 episodes, and you have like this encyclopedia, this hundreds, thousands of pages. So you have to know that beforehand. So it's obvious that it's going to take a long time to actually have it developed. Not just on the writer's part as well. Also, the actor and the director and the production company needs a lot of time to direct something of that vast amount.
Before our session, Mr. Eren from TRT was telling us that there's 70, 80 shows all being made every week. Yeah, give us your perception of the process. It sounds like quite a factory that you've got over there in Turkey. What is it? How does it compare to the production lines in other countries, and is it going to change?
Well, first of all, a Turkish pre-production is very unique to itself. I mean, right now we have a lot of coverage, so I mean, a lot of people are watching and a lot of people actually know about what we do, but the backstage is very specific to our own country. I mean, even if I told you everything about it, it would take actually somebody to actually go there and experience for himself what exactly is going on in there. But there are a couple of milestones that we go through. First of all, obviously, you have to find a script. That usually comes from the production. About 99% of stories, I mean, I'm just making the numbers up, but most of the stories that are being created are actually commissioned by the production. They have an idea, or they have a story, they have something that they actually hand on to you, and you work with that. So that starts with the production, and then you have this really long process of getting the script not just dramatically, but acceptable in terms of the TV culture, in terms of the popular culture, and those are very strict guidelines. We're a country that socially, politically, we have to jump a lot of hurdles to get that script acceptable for the sector. So that's pretty much the hardest part, actually. And after that comes the pre-production part of all of us actually working together. Some writers are not that involved in the pre-production process, but if you have like Magnificent Century, if you have like an epic like Ezel, the writer pretty much works as a showrunner, but informally. I mean, he or she wouldn't have the formal authority, but he or she would be listened to. And we, in all the works that we do, are very involved in that process, from casting to everything, to the production design and everything. So there is the part that the producer and the writer work together. Usually, not always, for example, Magnificent Century is a very good exception. The director comes later, at a much later stage, and then he's involved. But the thing with the Turkish sector is that since we have such little time for this really huge, endeavor in front of us, most of what we do is spontaneous. It has to be. And I think that's where the success of the Turkish sector comes, because not just while we write TV, as we live, we have to be very spontaneous. I mean, Turkish culture, someone who lives in Turkey has to be ingenious just living. He has to make up ways to actually, bypass hindrances, all kinds of things. I mean, if you're in traffic for an hour, you really have to be very spontaneous and patient and flexible. That's the part that the Turkish people actually do well. And it's through that spontaneity that we can create this miracle of not, it's a miracle that these things are actually good. It's a miracle enough that they're being made. I mean, an actor is remembering lines that he just read maybe a day ago, and they're like 80 pages of lines. A writer is writing within that week, in 4 days or 5 days, 120 pages. So the way the Turkish people actually make movies and TVs is the way is the way we live, really.
It must They say that art reflects life, so why not?
Yeah, it's hectic.
But the process, I believe, is that the show's already on air. You're writing the sort of like the episode that's going to be on air in 2 weeks' time, kind of thing.
That's pretty much the case. It has to be. I mean, there is no way that you can pre-program all of this. I mean, part of that is because of the system as well. It's not a system that guarantees, as in US, for example, a season, and then you can actually pay for the whole season and get it done with. You have to actually see that as it comes as well. So everything that we do, we're usually, thinking just 2 weeks ahead, if we're lucky.
But I want to add something.
Sure.
I want to learn if you agree with me. But the productions, the TV series, this Dizi, let's say, that Turkey produced and famous in all over the world, they all have a good pre-production time.
I'm sure
very
they do,
good
yeah.
pre-production time. I mean, he's telling that the normal Dizi life in Turkey. That's right. Yes, we all live that. Something happens just at the moment, and we have to create something. Sure. But the most famous ones in the world are all well done, well worked, and most of them prepared as a story from the beginning till the end before they start to shoot. So
I'll add something to that. I mean, that's given. That's obviously true without exceptions. Add to that, in our country, different departments don't usually interact with each other a lot. For example, actors don't interact a lot with writers. Writers don't interact a lot with directors. These are usually very specifically circled departments that the producer kind of gets this thing going. In almost all successful shows, there's a really good interaction. I mean, I know in Magnificent Century that's the case.
Agreed.
In 20 Minutes, I think that was the case. In Izel, that was absolutely the case. Everybody was in that table sitting in together. I mean, I think that's the thing with TV series. We watch a story, and that's important, given, but we also watch an organism. And that organism is in our houses. It's there every day. So that organism has to function as a whole. When we do that, and I guess that has to do with preparation too, when we interact within each other, that also makes a good show.
And what I find interesting is when we talk to people from this industry from all over the world, when we say them, as she says, we're shooting like 120 minutes per episode, and like, for example, let's talk about hours. I don't know how many episodes did you do in 20 minutes, but like 139 episodes in 4 years. They cannot believe that. So, I mean, that's the point. We work hard. We really work hard. We are creative at that moment, and the moment. So that makes spontaneously happiness and life in that show. But they're all hard work, and all people who are working in TV series in Turkey, they're all giving from their private life to the job. So it goes that way.
That's really true.
The thing that Kerem, you mentioned about everyone being in the room together and sort of just living it, and the product comes out of that. Tell me about how that marries together with the writer's room that is the model of writing that's very popular in the US, that churns out all the shows that they do. Kerem, you're trying to bring that writer's room model into Turkey, I think. Tell us about that.
It's a tough process. Because it really goes against what's going on in the Turkish TV sector. But so that's in the making. Right now, it's easy to summarize. It's hard. But I strongly believe. I think as a TV sector, we've come to a stage where we've peaked. This is my personal belief. I don't know if maybe a producer or an actor might think differently, but I think we've peaked to a place where we're actually, honorary guests of MIPCOM, for example. That's this huge thing. To go from here to an even more international level, it's not going to happen locally. I think it's going to happen in two ways. One, not just a couple of really big players, but from the bottom, actors and writers have to interact in some way internationally with other actors, with other directors and producers in the international communities, and that has to come from down here, from the creators themselves. That hasn't been established, but I think it will be. And secondly, there's going to be an international urge, I'm sure, that's going to change the way Turkish TV series are going to be made. I don't know if that's going to happen today or a year from now, but it's bound to happen. Because as the world is changing, and I'm not sure if Turkey is realizing this yet. I mean, not if everybody is realizing this yet. But I think we're in such an international stage that we're also going to be led and guided by the international community as well. I think that's to come. That's to come very soon.
Okay. I just want to bring in Hilal.
I didn't answer your question though, did I? Okay.
We can come back to that, but I just want to bring in Hilal, if I may, to thank you for waiting so patiently at the end there. I'm going to be speaking through a translator, so I'll be sort of slower. I want to hear about the techniques that you use in producing shows like, in directing shows like Forbidden Love, Famatagul. So maybe you could tell us about how you do that, because you have a very unique way of directing these programs, and maybe that's key to the secret of making them a success, not just domestically but internationally. So if I could ask Arzu to translate that.
Benim en büyük sermayem hislerim. Sadece hislerimi göz önünde bulundurarak bu işleri yapıyorum. Biri gibi, şu gibi, o gibi değil. Sadece hislerim ön planda. Çok kuvvetli hissettiğimi düşünüyorum. Biz biraz ülke olarak da öyleyiz. Çünkü her gün, her sabah yeni bir acıya uyanıyoruz ve gözyaşı zaten hep göz pınarımızda asılı duruyor. Pardon.
Well, my biggest capital is my emotions, my sentiments, and this is my power. And every day, actually, as the country, we woke up to news which makes us emotional. You know, many of them are bad news, and we have les larmes aux yeux, some, tears, and yeah.
Gücümü de iyi bir senaryodan, iyi bir yapımcıdan, iyi oyunculardan, kafasını bu işe takmış oyunculardan ve aynı zamanda da en önemlisi kendi iç çatışmalarımdan alıyorum.
And I take my power, my strength from a good producer, a good writer, good actress, good actors and actresses, but also from the conflicts that I have in me. You know, my conflicts also give me strengths.
Bir duyguyu ıskalamamak için dakikalarca sahneler üstünde konuşuyoruz oyuncularla. Ben bu işe 90'lı yılların başında asistan olarak başlamıştım. Ve o zamanlar el yordamıyla yapılan her şey bugün dünyada kullanılan tekniklerle yapılıyor. Ve bunu da tabii sağlayan, ben her şeyi gördüğüm için genç, yeni, vizyon sahibi yapımcıların bu işte çok büyük bir etkisi olduğunu düşünüyorum. Aynı zamanda gelen oyuncularımızın...
Sometimes for one little sentiment, one little emotional moment, I wait, and I wait for the right moment, right version to be filmed. So I take my time to communicate the right emotions. In the past, you know, she's an oldie in the movie industry. So in the past, we didn't have enough technologies, but today we are surrounded with best of the technologies, and this gives us more power to communicate what we want to communicate. And she also addresses the fact that, you know, we owe this also to risk-taking good producers, you know, who try to do their best in technical excellence in a way.
One of the questions I have for you, Hilal, is whether there's a unique visual style that Turkish drama has. When you look at a US drama, for instance, even with the volume down, you know that it's a US drama. You can see the camera angles and the way the way it gets put together. Just you know that it's an American drama. Is there such a language, a visual language with Turkish drama, or is one developing, or are you trying to develop one, or what's your thoughts on that?
Görsel farkımız, bence biz bu hikayeleri yavaş anlatmayı keşfettik ama durdurmadan yavaş anlatmayı keşfettik.
This is a quotation for my book. You know, we discovered to tell stories slowly, but without stopping.
Çünkü biz kendi dili olmayan, kendi dilinde olmayan birçok ülkeye artık dizi satıyoruz. Bunu bir Amerika, bir de biz yapıyoruz. Ama Amerikan dizilerinde çok hızlı her şey. Ve kahve pişiren bir kadının onu izlemesi mümkün değil.
Okay, well, we do sell to countries who don't speak Turkish, who don't understand our language. It's Americans and we do. You know, this is something that the American productions and Turkish productions do, and Americans do it in a very fast-forward way. And we take our time because a woman who makes a Turkish coffee on the oven, you know, doesn't have the time to follow all the fast narrative that the drama has. So slowness is our advantage for Hilal.
Because of the longness of the series, they need to have some coffee to break.
You need to stay awake.
That's why.
Excellent.
Bir de görüntülerimiz daha sıcak. Gerçek mekanlarda çalışıyoruz. En önemlisi de bu. O kadar gerçek ki küçük bir anımı anlatacağım. Yıllar önce ilk başladığım yıllarda.
One other important factor is the feeling we get from the real locations. We always shoot on real locations with real feelings.
Normal bir evde, orta halli bir evde çekim yapmak için prodüksiyonun anlaştığı bir eve gittik. Evin hanımı bize kiralamış evi. Fakat biz sahneyi kurduk, kameraları koyduk. Evin beyi gelip bizi silahla kovaladı. Bunu hiç unutmuyorum. O kadar gerçekti ki yani gerçek mekanlarda çalışıyoruz. Gerçekten üşüyoruz. Gerçekten çok sıcak oluyor ve çok gerçek.
She says it's extremely real, so real that sometimes it's very cold, sometimes it's too warm. But she tells us an anecdote where they picked this location of a middle-class apartment, household, and they set the cameras, they started everything, and the lady of the household was in the house actually. But then the husband came, and he saw the scene, and he took his gun and sort of push them away, chase them away, go out of my home, go out of my home. And she said, this was so real, so real. This is the real conditions under which we work.
Fantastic. All that remains is for me to thank Celine, Halit, Tuba, Kerem, and Hilal, and Arzu for doing the translation. Thank you. And for you for coming.